This is what you might have missed on BCSN's Sports Nightly.
It is Monday, and it is time to go inside the birdcage, brought to you by Overhead Door. Joining us once again on location, once again we break out the budget, John Wagner of the Toledo Blade, Mud Hens beat reporter. And John, has the Bear Bryant Foundation realized you stole one of his hats?
No. Next question.
All right, we keep it short and sweet. Okay. All right, you were in studio last week, and I'm just going to kind of rinse and repeat from where we were last week because it is just as timely this week. A weekend game featuring the AL MVP and former Cy Young winner Justin Verlander, this time in Toledo. You were there, much different result from Verlander, I would suppose.
Yeah, it was funny to hear you say rinse and repeat because that was not what we got on Saturday. Very, very different from Justin Verlander. The pitches looked the same if you looked at raw velocity and you looked at movement and things like that, but the command was totally different and it was much, much better. And so the result was much, much better. In fact, truth be told, there was only one hard hit ball off him, and it was the very last one by Jesus Aguilera. And that was only because Justin Verlander's at his pitch count. He calls the catcher Miguel Gonzalez out and says, "Listen, man, I'm throwing it right down the middle. If he hits it hard, c'est la guerre, you know." And he did hit it hard, but other than that, it was nothing but smiles for Justin Verlander and for Tiger fans.
Not only entertainment, but you can learn a foreign language listening and reading to John Wagner each and every day in the Toledo Blade. Okay, so Verlander, much different. We'll probably see him back up in Detroit next stop, and thankfully he had one more rehab stint because that first one I didn't think was very good. Now, if you remember from last week, I asked you about another Tigers pitcher in Toledo now, Bruce Rondon, and I saw very timely in today's Toledo Blade, you echoed my sentiments last week.
Well, yeah, because he did not throw very well following Verlander. I mean, his first inning of work, the idea was to throw 40 pitches and cover as much ground as possible. You would expect with 40 pitches you should get around 2 innings of work. He barely survived the first inning. He loaded the bases with a hit and 2 walks, got a spectacular double play to get out of that. Was not as fortunate in the second inning, and not only was he giving up hits, it was a well-struck triple, a long home run. He just didn't fool anybody. And if you see, and I'm going to scoop myself here for just a moment, if you see the quote in the paper, it's like, you know, yeah, you can throw 98, 99, but if you can't command it and can't do anything else with it, people are going to figure that out and hit it very hard.
Right, and he, not only did he look horrible, he looked horrible in front of Jim Leland, who, as you could see in the camera angle they had on BCSN, which the game was broadcast, sitting right behind the catcher back there, watching every pitch, and you couldn't tell Jim's reaction, but I'm guessing he was none too impressed with what he saw. Now, you talked a little bit about this as we went back and forth before. Are there some future rehab assignments that we can look forward to down here in Toledo?
Oh yeah, there are still some injured Tigers who are going to have some time at some level of the minors before they get called up. I'm thinking Alex Avila being probably the next on the horizon, the Tigers catcher who's coming back from a knee injury. But the big one would be Victor Martinez, who didn't quite look right before he went on the disabled list. He's going to have to take live bullets, in other words, do a rehab stint of some sort before he comes back to Detroit. Will that happen before the Hens go on the road on Wednesday? I would doubt it. They come back the following week. Would it happen then? I don't know.
No French term for that? No French term for that?
I guess so.
Okay. All right, I want to ask you one before we get out of here, and we talk about Tigers coming down here to Toledo. Let's talk about a Mud Hen going up to Detroit. Tyler Collins, since he's gone up, he's been patient. He comes out, hits a home run. Then on Sunday, he goes 3 for 3 with a couple of runs scored. Yep. This is a bit of a surprise, I would think, based on his start in Toledo, don't you think?
Yes and no. It's kind of interesting. In AAA, Tyler Collins is viewed as a potential major leaguer who has major league experience. He's hitting in the heart of the order. So to a AAA pitcher, you're thinking, man, this is a guy I've got to get out. I've got to really bear down and focus and give him everything I've got. In Detroit, if you notice, he's hitting lower in the lineup, 6, maybe 7, maybe 8. you've gone through Cabrera, Cespedes, J.D. Martinez, and you're thinking, whew, I could take a break. I'm near the bottom of the order, and I've got Collins. And so, and I'm not telling you that that's exactly what happened, but it's something you can often see. And the other thing is that when you make it back up to the big leagues, when Tyler Collins is in Toledo, he might be pressing, thinking, I've got to hit 6-run home runs to get back up to Detroit. Whereas when he makes it, he can okay, I've just got to relax and play my game and see how the chips fall. And so that's why sometimes, believe it or not, you see better results at the major league level than at the minor league level.
Wow, he is John Wagner, informative, entertaining, and always fashionable. You can read him and see him here each Monday. Read him every day in the Blade. And John, I tell you, I want to thank you for this, and I appreciate you blowing out the budget. Any final thoughts as we get out of here?
I would follow the Hat of Wags on Twitter, the Hat of Wags.
Outstanding. Shameless promotion is always a good thing. John Wagner, thank you so much for joining us once again inside the Birdcage.
Be sure to watch Sports Nightly weeknights at 10:30 on BCSN and follow us on Twitter at sports_nightly.